Oh, I'm sorry. Wow. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, that
let's
was.
start all
Yeah, I
over
have to
again.
start all over again. I'm sorry. Like I was muted the entire time.
Right.
But like I
I'm not the
said,
producer, so
yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So I just it's okay. Welcome to another edition of the Beauty and Us Radio. Good evening, everyone, and
Good
hello.
evening.
This is the Beauty and Us Radio right here on Awesome God Radio. I really apologize for that. I was playing around and I was doing too much. But again, welcome to another edition of the show. I'm your host, Nelson E. Brown, and we're here for another edition of the Beauty and Us Radio. We're celebrating Women's History Month this month, and this is the second week we've been celebrating Women's History Month here on the show. And we had Miss Lisa P. Ellis, who talked about her legal career last week, and she did a phenomenal job speaking to us about that. And this week, I wanted to make it a little bit of a secret because I wanted you all to, just stay tuned, and I wanted to have a chance to speak with my mom for about an hour, like I did the last few times she was on. This is her third appearance, and I wanted to talk to her about what it meant to be a Black woman, or in political terms, what it meant to be an African American female in today's world. Now, before we jumped into that, I wanted to ask my mom to just share a little bit about herself for the new listeners, and I also wanted my mom to just talk to us about what it means to be a Black woman, what it means to identify herself as a Black woman in today's world, because again, there are so many archetypes and stigmas that have been perpetuated throughout the years through different forms of media, and even with the way that people portray Black females, in movies and in TV shows, and how bias can sometimes cloud our judgment in terms of when we meet new people or when we speak about different social groups. We can oftentimes let that bias cloud our judgment in terms of how we think and the way we process things and the way we meet people. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Could you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and what it's like being identified as a Black woman? Because again, I want to recognize the beauty, the talent, the gifts, and everything that makes a Black woman special. And that's something that people don't showcase often. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, hello everyone. You see, I'm back again. The show hasn't been taken off the air because I've been impairing, but it's been all good. I've enjoyed myself. If you don't know, I have the pleasure of being Nelson's mom. It's really an awesome thing to being his mom. He asked me to come on public service announcement. I don't know any of the questions because I don't want to be thinking about it over the weekend, all day Monday, all of that. So I told him, do not share these questions with me. So you asked me, what is it?
What is it like for you to be identified as a Black female, or from a political standpoint, an African American female? Because there are so many stigmas and stereotypes that have been perpetuated throughout the years, even like through the media and through TV shows, and even in the workplace.
Right.
And as you go about your life, being identified as an African American female and as a Black woman. And since this Women's History Month, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I don't think that the beauty in Black women, the beauty in what you all do, like your gifts, your talents, all of that is not showcased enough through different forms of media and through different outlets. So I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about that for an hour because there's so much more than what's being perpetuated throughout the media, and there's so much more than what is being showcased now, because sometimes bias can cloud our judgments. So could you tell us a little bit about what it's like for you being identified as a Black woman? Starting from the beginning.
Okay,
growing
because
up.
I can talk.
Yes,
Now.
yes.
So we only got an hour.
Yes.
We're gonna go to like 7:02.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if I have to think about it, I would have to go all the way back. You want me to go all the way back? I can remember being a young girl back in the 60s, early 70s, and I really didn't think too much about anything. You just being a kid. So I can remember, having a friend who didn't look like me, but we were friends. And we were probably the only black family on the block, as I can remember. But this girl, her name was Lisa too, and we were good friends. And then all of a sudden, they were moving out, and they didn't live there anymore. So when I think about that, I guess that was probably the first time that I ever felt like it was something wrong and it was something different. Because as children, you don't realize differences, but as time goes on, those things of what's the saying you say, people, you don't realize your faults until someone brings them to your attention.
You don't realize what your insecurities are unless someone else points them
Right.
out to you.
So I guess that is the point where I recognized that it was a difference. At that point in my life, I realized that. So I think, just going through life as a child, I didn't really realize, that it was that big of a difference, and how things are really that different. Because, going through school, um, just, working and, doing different things in life now, I realize now, as I, became, maybe I'll say, maybe towards middle school, because elementary school, again, I didn't realize that it was a difference as far as my color, because that's, being a woman first and then being a black woman. So as time has gone on, I realized that there is a difference, and that people do view you differently, and people do stereotype you, or just automatically put labels on you because of things that they see or things that they read. And I guess the biggest takeaway, I think that people should really get to know people, and not just look at a person and just automatically judge, because you really don't know anyone's story. People just look at you and assume things, people, and that's the hardest part, I think. Just feeling like I have to do so much more, because people already have this negative connotation of who I am and what I am and what I represent. So I hope that answered your question. I think I just have to go about things a little differently and work a little harder, because it's sad that you have to do that to kind of prove to people that, you know I'm glad that I'm a black woman. I embrace being a black woman, but sometimes it's not easy because of the things that are put on you, just because of what people think. People don't really give you an opportunity, to do things, because they just look at you and they just judge you. So I hope that answered your question.
No, it did. It absolutely did. My question was, what is it like being identified as a black woman? So I remember and I'm glad that you talked about that, because you talked about the shift between childhood versus, growing into a young lady,
Right.
growing into a young
Right.
woman, and how that experience changed throughout the years.
Right. Right.
My next question is about what it felt like in your early adulthood. So I remember you talking to me about what it was like for you in high school, and even in college, and even into early adulthood, when you were trying to find your way. You were trying to plan your life moving forward. When you were about my age.
Right.
You were still in the process of trying to not only discover who you are, but you were trying to build a foundation and get your feet planted.
Right.
So what went through your mind once you started to identify yourself as a black woman in your early adulthood? Because like you said before, as you stated, in your childhood you didn't really see color.
Right.
But as you got older, you started to realize what the barriers were between
Right.
you and where you wanted to be.
Right. I just, again, I think that I started kind of thinking about, what I wanted to do with my life and how to prepare for that. So when I got out of college and I started working, it was really just trying to prepare. Like, what do I want to do with my life? I always thought I wanted to get married. I always thought I wanted to have children. So it's just like, what do I do? I worked a few jobs, just trying to get my feet wet, trying to figure out which direction I wanted to go. And it was just, because you really don't have a blueprint of what to do. I mean, because when I was raised, we were raised again, like I talked about before. The girls do this, the boys do that.
The gender roles.
Gender roles, right? So growing up, it was kind of hard to figure out, you know, how to go about things, how to get things done. So I had to prepare, had to get my education. I kind of got my feet wet, worked a couple of jobs, but still, again, you always still had to prove yourself because people just automatically think, you're not going to be on time, you're not going to be appropriate, you're not going to be honest, you're not going to be trustworthy. Because in the beginning, I had like retail jobs, and then I had jobs where I was like in the secretarial field and things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's always like you have to do so much more to just prove to people that you are a good person. Like, you're here to do a job, you're going to do a good job, you're not going to disappoint. So I just always felt like I had to work harder. I always had that work ethic that I have to work harder. I have to, every day give 1,000%. I just feel like I always had to do that because people made me feel like I had to do extra. I had to do more just because the way I look and who I am and how I identify.
Yes, absolutely. And like you said, that shift from your views of yourself as a Black female, well, as a female, as a woman first, and then as a Black woman throughout your childhood and early adulthood, it was so different. And it definitely, put things in perspective in terms of the obstacles that you knew that you were going to be up mm-hmm. against moving forward. Mm-hmm. So, and I know you talk to me all the time about how Grandma she was tougher, on you because she understood what it was like to be a Black female, and right. She understood what it was like because, of course, her circumstances were different.
Right.
She didn't have all the education in the world.
Right.
She didn't have the means to be more and want to do more, and so that's why she always pushed you to be
right.
more and do
right.
more.
Right.
And she encouraged you to be better.
Right.
And do
get
better.
My education. She always stressed growing up, education was a priority no matter what. She wanted me to get my education. Mm-hmm. She wanted me to be able to stand on my own, mm-hmm. Without, whatever someone else did was always considered, she said, that's always extra. You have to be able to take care of yourself as a young woman. You have to be able to pay your bills. You have to be able to, do what you need to do to sustain yourself. So I was never taught to rely on anybody else but myself. Mm-hmm. So that's how I was raised.
Yes, absolutely. And you talk to me about that all the time. And right. That's why you always push yourself to do more and to be more. But sometimes you even tell me all the time that, sometimes you feel like you beat yourself up because sometimes you feel like you're doing too much and sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough.
Right.
So sometimes you have a very difficult time. You tell me this all the time.
Right.
Like understanding where the happy medium is between
right.
what you're doing or if you're doing too much or doing too little.
Right. Because I always feel like, because you always, he's a good son. He always, gives me praise. So, your mommy, you're a good mom and all that. But, I always feel like I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. You get up, you go to work, you take care of your kids. Well, I only have one kid. You pay your bills. Right. Try, keep your credit up. Yes. Keep gas in the car. When I first, started driving, that was, that was the thing. I never, it was always almost empty. So I would get on him about that. But that's a whole nother with a story for a whole nother show. But
yes.
Yeah. So I think that I'm always just hard on myself because I always feel like I have to be because people are always looking for me to fail, as a woman, as a Black woman, the way I'm represented and the way I'm being viewed. People almost always expect a failure.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think as young, any young Black women watching, I think that sometimes your failures make you stronger. So don't look at it as something that is a negative. Look at it as something that you can grow from. I made a whole bunch of mistakes, a whole lot of things that, like I always tell my son, I got to get myself together because, some people I want to meet in heaven, some
Right.
people I want to see.
Yes.
So, it's some things that you may have done in your life, some mistakes you may have made, some choices that may not have been the best, but don't let it define you. Don't let others or what you see on TV or, the way people perceive you, um, just the negativity. Don't let the negativity be what guides you. Learn from your mistakes. Be better. You may, make a mistake again. It's okay because every day that I get up and I breathe. I'm thankful. Every day I wake up, I'm like, Lord, I'm still here. Thanks again for another opportunity. You know, just thank you for giving me another chance to get it right. Every morning I wake up, I say that every morning because I'm so thankful because I know where I've been, I know what I've gone through, and I'm still here. I'm still here representing.
Yes.
I'm still here.
Yes, absolutely, and that's very important because because a lot of people again they often try to identify themselves with the mistakes that they often make, and it's important to note that your mistakes are supposed to help you grow, and they're supposed to help you become a better person later on down the line.
Right.
And that's what you talk to me all the time. You tell me stories about how you made tons of mistakes in your 20s.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yes.
Woo, child.
Yes. But
and some of them gonna go with me to my grave. Yeah,
Yes.
That's gonna be between me and the Lord. And I'm saying, Lord, it's Lisa L. Brown.
Yes. Yes.
Please let me in. Now, if he say I can't get in, then I'll just be Lisa Brown.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That L makes a difference.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And it's very important. And even when we talk about having a you support my work 100% when it comes to helping boys and young men develop a healthier self-image. You understand my battle with self-image, and you talked to me about how you struggled with confidence and self-esteem throughout your life too, from childhood even into early adulthood, and how it took you a very long time to grow and to develop a healthy level of self-esteem, and it took a long time for your confidence to grow.
Right.
And not just in your personal life, but even in your professional life.
Right.
Being bypassed.
Right.
Not feeling appreciated for the work that you've done.
Right.
And just not feeling like people have given you credit when it's due.
Right.
So could you talk to us a little bit about how that felt? Not just from a personal standpoint, but a professional standpoint in terms of what it feels like to be bypassed.
Oh.
I mean, I know.
How long is this show?
It's only an hour.
Oh, it's only an hour.
Yes.
Okay.
It's only 6:19.
Well, for me, I always feel like, again, I always was raised, you work hard for the things that you want. You do the right things, you work hard, and you reap the benefits. But sometimes it's not always that way. Sometimes you work hard and you are bypassed. And again, is it because of the way I look? Is it because of the way I present myself? Even now, well, this might be a little bit off the subject as a woman identifying the way I identify now that I'm a natural woman, all the way natural.
Right.
There's a point in time I would wear weaves, I would wear braids, whatever. But now even to be a Black woman being natural and being accepted, even in the workplace, anywhere you go. I remember one time, I think you were in high school, and this might have been, maybe you were in the 10th grade or something. You didn't have your license yet. I was picking you up from the library, and a lady came up to me and said, "Oh, I could never do that."
Right.
And I'm looking around like, you can never do what? Oh, I could never be natural. And I just couldn't understand that because, again, this is who I am. This is my hair. This is who I am. All of this is 1001% me. So again, just being accepted for who you are in the workplace. If you don't fit the mold, if you don't dress the part, if you don't look a certain way, or if your skin tone is not the right, or your body habit isn't right, that's, you know, it's terrible. It's terrible that people work hard, and just because of the way you look or the way you dress, um, just like I always tell you, you wash and you do what you need to do, as long as my head in one general direction and I'm not offending anybody. You know what I mean? But to be in the workplace and people bypass you because you don't look a certain way and don't look at what you're bringing to the table, as I say, my skill sets.
Right.
I'll put an S on it because
Right.
I have a lot to offer. And I think that people need to look at that, look at people deeper than what you see on the surface. You have a lot of talented people who may not look the part, but they have a lot to give. So people need to look beyond what they see and just look at a person's heart, look at their mind, see what they have to offer. Do they have any ideas? Do they have any suggestions? And it's very hard. Bypass for years. They wanted to work you to death. They want you to do all the work, but they want to keep you there working, but they don't want you to advance. It's really been bad. It wasn't a pleasant experience. So when I had the opportunity to be in a position where I could help others, that's what I did. Even if they surpassed me, if that's the way it was intended, that's fine, because that's not what it's about. Sometimes God puts us in a place for a reason. You know what I mean? Maybe you're not supposed to be the CEO. Maybe you're not supposed to be in certain positions. Maybe you're not ready yet. So sometimes we have to continue to do our best and grow, because when the opportunity comes and it presents itself, we need to be ready. You know what I mean? So even if I'm sitting there and, you may have been bypassed, but once you've been called, I'm always ready. I'm always on top of my game. I'm always ready. I'm always prepared, because you never know. You never know when your opportunity to shine and really shine is going to be there. So you always just put yourself in a position where you're always ready. You're always ready and you're always prepared.
Yes, and that kind of brings me into the next point. When you talk about people supporting people, and in more specifically, I think people have talked about this before. I think I've had conversations with several ladies about this, but how important it is for you all to empower each other. So,
Yes.
How important is it for you, for Black women, to support each other? I mean, women in general have to support each other, but more specifically, Black women, because you have many more obstacles,
Right.
that are in your way.
Let's say that again.
Yes.
We already have enough obstacles.
Yes.
So why do we have to be that way towards each other? Why are you worrying about Verweave looks better, how much he paid for a pocketbook, with the shoes looking like, all that stuff, we should be able to empower each other in different ways, help each other, whatever kind of way, support each other, check on each other, instead of just try to be positive. And I'm always like, if you're not, I'm already happy. So if you're not going to bring more positivity into my life, then I don't need you in my life. But as women, but especially as Black women, I feel like we need to do better, just helping each other. And it's not always about the money. It's about just being there, being supportive, being a listening ear, being able to confide in someone, and not worrying about it being all over Facebook or social media or anything like that, because mental health is a real thing. And sometimes people's pride will not allow them to go to a therapist. But if we can empower each other and be there and supportive of each other, that makes a difference. That really makes a difference, because all of us have so much to offer and so much to give. We are all individuals, and we all are blessed with something, and we can help each other. you get together and you talk and empower each other instead of trying to outdo each other. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what kind of car you're driving and all that, because gas is $6.75 a gallon.
Yeah, they're gonna have to check your credit score soon.
Just to get a gallon of gas.
Yes, it's $4.
Right.
Yes.
So you walking around with your Gucci and your Prada and all that, and you can't even fill up your car with some gas. I mean, that's pretty bad. So we just have to do better and prioritize things a little bit better. Just look at what's really important. If this pandemic hasn't taught you anything in these 24 months about what's really important, your health is really important. Your health should be your number one thing, not worrying about, don't get me wrong, I would love to have a red Mercedes truck. That is, I would love to have one. With the gas alone and the maintenance I can't afford, but I digress. But it's more to life than just the materialistic things. That's not going to get you into heaven.
Right.
It's really not. I mean, what you do for each other, not just for yourself, but for others. Selflessness is what's going to help you get there. Ain't no guarantees, because there's some other stuff you got to do, but that's a start. That's really a start.
Yes, absolutely. And I often think about, and we have the poster right here, of all of the great African American women in history who've paved the way so that you could be where you are, and so that so many generations of women after them could be where they are. So we have Harriet Tubman, we have Madam C.J. Walker, Sojourner Truth, Marian Anderson, Lena Horne, Coretta Scott King, Dorothy Height. All of these amazing women in history who paved the way so that you guys could, do what you want to do.
Right.
A lot of them did not have the opportunity to gain, fame overnight. A lot of them were bypassed. A lot of them, were not granted opportunities because of the color of their skin, and also because of the roadblocks that they faced. And I think that sometimes we can see that as a repeat today. Even though we are allowed opportunities, and women in particular, you talked about it too, in terms of Black women supporting each other more. What I would like to note is that all of these women supported each other. Not once did you ever hear about one woman attacking another. All of the women right here, people can't see it, but all of the women on on the collage, they all supported each other.
Right.
So that's one thing that was always unique to me. Like they always supported each other. All of them were gifted and talented, and all of them possessed talents of so many. But this was never a contest. They never looked at their talents and gifts and supporting each other as being a contest. And that's the point that I think that you were making. And oftentimes I think that people who are like that, people feel as though they're not going to be as valuable or as successful if they allow people to surpass them. And that's not the case. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a successful person. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a leader. Just because one person may be in a position of authority, or just because you may have $15 in your purse and she may have 25. But at the end of the day, we're all still we all still have responsibilities. We all still have homes. We have lives. We have people who love us and care about us.
Right.
So we're all in the same boat. Just because someone's making a few extra dollars in your okay, they may get an extra $100 in their check.
Right.
Okay, they give it up to Uncle Sam.
Right.
At the end of the day, they give it up more than you do because they make more money.
Right.
But in terms of like this competitiveness, like like you said, you feel like it just needs to stop.
Right. But again, I digress, and I can go all the way back, and that probably honestly started from slavery.
Yes.
Because we were back then from I wasn't there, but from what I've read, that it was division then, between women of color, light skin, dark skin, brown skin, or whatever. And in some kind of way, I think that is still the case, where it's some type of division. And we gonna all bleed the same. We're all the same. The beauty of it is that we all come in different hues, different sizes, different hair, different faces, cheeks, everything. eye color, hair color, we're all so unique in our own way, and we need to do better at embracing ourselves and embracing each other. You know, just we just have to do better towards each other. It really makes a difference because again, people are watching us and they're expecting exactly what we're doing. Tearing each other down and not supporting each other and not being there for each other, or just trying to empower each other. Just be kind. Just be kind to people. People, the cell phones and the DMs and all this other stuff. People don't even want to say good morning. They just say GM. What in the world? People just it just makes communication horrible because people don't even know how to talk to people anymore. So we have to do better at checking up on each other and having conversations and just being kind to one another. Just be kind. Just, even today, tomorrow, just work on just being kind to people. Even now with the mask being removed, just, smile people and be cordial, be nice. Just be nice. Can we just be nice to each other? I just can't say it enough. Be kind and not so harsh toward each other, and just find something nice to say. It got to be something good about everybody. Everybody got some good in them. Even the worst person in the world, I think they got something good.
Right. They weren't born bad.
Yeah, absolutely. So just try to be kind to each other, please.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to move a little bit to, we were at 6:32. So just in case people who are just joining in, this is my mom, Elisa L. Brown. So she's talking to us. She's having a conversation with us, about what it means to be a Black woman. This is Women's History Month.
Right.
The month of March every year.
Mm-hmm.
It's Women's History Month. Today is actually International Women's Day in
Yeah,
particular.
I got a couple of not to cut you off. I got a couple of text messages, and I sent a couple of them out. Everybody feeling good,
Yes.
empowering each other.
Yes.
Yes.
So today's International Women's Day, and it's Women's History Month, for the month of March. And she's talking to us about what it means to identify as a Black woman and what it means to be a Black woman, what that looks like and what that feels like. And the topic that I wanted to, and you're doing a fabulous job talking about it
so much,
from different
son.
angles. But
I can't see what people are saying. Let me see. Are they saying something nice?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Breezy. I didn't have my glasses on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So she tuned in like about 15 minutes, 20 minutes earlier.
All right.
Yes. So I wanted to shift gears and talk a little bit about family, because a lot of people, amongst the Black community, they see, Black women as being the anchors for the family. A lot of people don't understand, especially you were a single mom, in terms of the amount of burdens you carried for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't understand that, when they haven't been through that, they haven't been through the journey themselves. You trying to balance everything, you trying to maintain a personal life and professional life. You trying to be everything. You're trying to be mom and dad. You're trying to be a great boss, but you're also trying to be a great mom.
Mm-hmm.
Making sacrifices. When you clock in and out of work. Flexing out.
Picking
me up.
Boy.
Dealing with people in the workplace who aren't the kindest. So you've told me tons of stories about that, but I wanted to talk a little bit about family, because I shared with you on the show, I shared with my listeners and with you about like my desire to adopt. So, and of course, I'm doing this solo. My plan is to do this solo in the next few years once I'm ready. So I often ask you, what if that little girl, what if it's a little girl, and what would you say to that little girl, who is coming up in this day and age, about what it means to be a woman?
You saying a little girl, any little girl, or you talking about my granddaughter? What we talking about?
Not just your granddaughter, a possible granddaughter in the future, but also like just in general, little girls who are growing up in today's age, who are trying to figure out who they are. What would you say to the little girls who are trying to identify with, or who are trying to learn about what it means to be a woman, and in terms of embracing womanhood? What would be your message to them? What would you want to teach them about what it means to be a woman?
What would I teach them about what it means to be a woman?
Right. Like for instance, like, you know, you don't have any daughters, but let's just say, you know, I adopt, you know, a baby girl, you know, and
Mhm.
she's growing up and she's learning because of course, you know, I can't teach her every single thing
Right.
because, you know,
Right.
there are some periods of her life if I adopt a daughter, like I wouldn't be able to help her with because I'm not a woman,
Mhm.
you know.
But you know, it's just like me. I'm not a man, but I feel like I raised a good son.
Hmm.
So some things is just it just is.
Right.
No matter if you're a male or a female, I would want them to know that you're a child of the King. Let's start with that.
Right.
That's the most important thing. And you have to walk in authority and know whose you are. That in itself will make you look at life totally differently and know that you can do anything that you want to do. Anything is the sky is the limit for what you can do with your life. You have so many choices, so many opportunities. All you have to do is pick one.
Hmm.
That would be what I would have to say. You know, because just looking at the world now and again thinking about when I was a little girl, and I could remember being in social studies class in seventh grade at Pimlico Junior High School. I can still remember that. I can still remember thinking about the presidents of the United States and the vice presidents. Never ever was I taught that anyone of color could do that. And I'm just keeping it 100, you know? So to think about where I was seventh grade social studies or US government or, you know, whatever, and thinking about the US presidents and the vice presidents, who would have thought that we would ever have a black president? Who would have thought that we would even have a woman as vice president? So, I mean, the sky is the limit. You know, the sky is the limit. I've never was taught that in school. Never ever was taught that in school. All we knew that they were middle-aged white guys that were the presidents and vice presidents of the United States of America. So there you go. You know, who would have thought in my lifetime? And I'm not that old, but I'm just saying, like, in another 10 or 15 years, just imagine what the world will be like with all these talented women, especially black women. You know, we have so much to offer. We really do. We really do.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And on top of that, you know, right now, in, you know, from the ideological world, from the political world, you know, there's a black female that's been nominated to the Supreme Court, which has never happened. So she's about to make history now.
Wow.
So this when I look at all the stuff, all personal beliefs about people and all the politics aside, just, you know, people feeling represented. This
Right.
is about people feeling
Mm-hmm.
represented, you know,
Mm-hmm.
outside of what their views are.
Right.
This is about people feeling represented.
Right.
This is about people, you know, making you know the well, in this case the Supreme Court and different areas of the workplace look like the world.
Right.
You know, making
Right.
sure that everyone feels represented, making
Right.
sure that it's as diverse and inclusive. So when I
Right.
think about that, I often think about, okay, if I have a little girl, you know, she can look at her and be like, I can do it.
You
You
can
know,
do it. You can do it.
yeah, you know,
I mean, you know, and that's why I'm always so hard on myself, because I'm looking at all these things that's going on. And I feel like, man, I'm still behind. I
yes,
got some work to do,
yes,
you know, because it's like, you know, again, I mean, smart, beautiful, talented women, especially black women. You know, we are our own worst enemies. We limit ourselves. It's so many things that we can do to make a difference, in this world. You know, even now, and I'm always thinking about it, even, you know, just being kind to somebody, that's making a difference in the world. You know, so it don't have to be this big grandiose thing. It could be the small things that make a difference in somebody's life. So just think about that. Just think about that.
yes. And also in terms of, this kind of falls under the same umbrella with family. So what's your message, because you are a sister?
Mm-hmm.
So what's your message to sisters? You know, women who have sisters as siblings. because I know you told me a lot of oftentimes there can be a lot of jealousy between sisters.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
I mean,
so
yeah, sure.
so what would you say to a young lady or a woman who has sisters? How can sisters, not just in a family setting, but also just in general, how can they empower each other too? Because oftentimes, I think that, and I've learned this from talking to other people, like, sisters have a very, very difficult time sharing energy.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was taught that, after speaking to some people, like sisters have a very difficult time sharing energy.
Right.
Because everybody is fighting for attention.
Sure.
Sure. So how can sisters empower one another? If you have a family of sisters, or if you have women in your family who are at odds because they may have felt like they were missing something growing up, or they may have felt jealous of their older sister or younger sister because they may be further along than they are in different areas of their lives, or they may be jealous because they feel like they have something that they wish they had. What's your message to sisters who are listening? Who may have estranged relationships, or moms and daughters who have estranged relationships, because it can be very, very hot and cold.
Right.
So what's your message in regards to that?
Well, first thing I would say is the honesty is important, and being able to communicate and being able to truly forgive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a person that if someone's going to ask for forgiveness, just don't tell me, please forgive me. You have to give me a reason why, So I think that as sisters, always have a heart open to accept an apology, a true, sincere apology, because, we only get one chance, and you won't want to leave this world with any regrets. So if even if you don't talk to the person ever again, at least in your heart, you have to forgive. Mm-hmm. Because the forgiveness is really about you. It's not about them. Because if you walk around, with all of that in your heart, you're stunting your own growth. You know what I mean? Because it takes a lot of energy to be angry and upset and mad. But once you're able to forgive, even your sister, forgive, it's really not that serious. And again, as women, especially Black women, we have to learn how to empower each other and not look at somebody's strength as your weakness. Because everyone has something to give. Everyone does. Even if for people who think they have nothing, you have something. It's guaranteed you have something to give. So just keep that in mind. Sisters, always be open to forgive. Nobody's perfect. No one's perfect. Nobody's perfect. So just to me, just be able to have a forgiving heart and be able to move on, and don't fester. Don't let it go. Let it go. Who sings that?
Yes, it's Idina Menzel from Let It Go. That's the song from Frozen, the Disney movie Frozen.
Okay, yeah, we went to see that, didn't we?
Yes,
okay,
we did.
All right.
Yes,
okay,
yes,
okay,
yes, and that's important to know for sisters, and I hear that all the time. Like speaking to people, like there's a lot of jealousy between sisters,
right,
because everybody's fighting for attention, and everybody wants to feel loved, and everybody wants to be acknowledged,
right.
So it's not only important to just acknowledge that person, but also to just show that person how much you love them and care about them,
right,
and not just assume that they know.
Right. That's very important.
Right.
That's right, because you don't want to go through life with regrets. And again, be kind to people. Don't assume people think that how they really feel. If you love someone, it's okay to say you love them. You don't have to text it. You can pick up the phone and tell them. You don't have to DM them or whatever. I'm not even a social media person, so I can't even keep up. I had to change the features on my cell phone, and I'm having problems now. Just trying to figure out how to send a text message.
Right.
So I leave that for your generation and all those other smarty pants out there.
Right.
So, any more questions for me?
Yes. So I have two more questions.
Okay.
One, they all fall under the Brancher family. So
okay.
I mean, I know that you don't have any daughters, but you are a daughter.
Okay.
So what would be your message to girl moms, so women who have daughters? Because just like sisters, sometimes they can engage in that competitiveness and that need for attention, that need to feel wanted and to feel loved. having a very difficult time sharing energy. What would be your message to women who, I mean, you are a daughter, you don't have any daughters, of course, but you are a daughter. What would be your message to women who may be estranged from their moms, or daughters who may be estranged? Daughters who are estranged from their moms, or moms who may be estranged from their daughters, because like I said, I've heard, through conversations with people and even through research, that it can oftentimes be very hot and cold. So you may have moms and daughters who are really, really close, and you have moms and daughters who can't stand each other. So what would be your message to moms and daughters? So would you send the same message to them about what you just shared with us, or what do you think about that?
Well, I think that for me, again, it doesn't matter if it's a guy or a girl, a daughter or a son. I think that what's most important is to be supportive.
Right.
Be supportive and be there. Allow them to make mistakes. Allow them to grow with their mistakes. Be their listening ear. I mean, because sometimes it's not always about giving your advice. Sometimes people just want you to listen. You don't always have to give your advice. Sometimes I want to say something, I'll be like, it's hurting, but I'm going to keep my mouth closed. So I think being supportive is very important. Being a listening ear is very supportive, and allowing them to be. I feel like as long as they're not doing anything to harm themselves or to harm others, I think you should allow them to try things and do things. Even I think about when Nelson was learning how to swim. I was scared to death because I remember, years ago, oh my goodness, I wasn't even 20 yet. We went to Cador State Park. I don't know if whoever remembers that in PA. And I remember when somebody, they used to swing you and they used to throw you in the water. And I was sleeping, someone did that and I almost drowned. And so when Nelson wanted to swim, my fear almost kept him from learning. And he's a very good swimmer. Taught himself how to swim. Scared to death, But I can't let your fears be their fears. Allow them to grow and do things. Whatever Nelson wanted to do, he wanted to do what you do: badminton, you did soccer, you did softball, you did football, gymnastics, you did football, you did anything he wanted to do. You even went to the step camp, you did the little stepping thing,
Right.
You went to the other camp and you learned sign language.
Yes.
Whatever they want to do, allow them to be and allow them to grow. I wanted Nelson to be an English teacher.
Right.
Because that's, I always wanted to teach. I always wanted to, when he was growing up, he said, well, Mommy, I want to be a firefighter, But, I still think he's going to be, that public servant type thing. That's the way it is, because I feel like, when I was growing up in high school, you saw my awards and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of public service. But my thing is, you have to allow them to be who they are. Let them grow and develop into who they are, and just be supportive of that. Just be supportive of that. That's how I feel. That's the kind of mom I've tried to be. I haven't been a perfect mom, but I think I've done the best I could with what I had. And I would tell anybody to just try to be supportive of people. You may not agree with everything, but if somebody is not breaking the law or hurting someone, just try to be there and be supportive. You don't always have to give your opinion, because we all got one, but
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it was great that you shared all of that. My last question is for my last question for you before we wrap up the show is what would be your advice to single moms or women who may be maternal figures? Because just as they say, for boys, a father figure doesn't always have to come from the biological father. Just like maternal figures don't always have to come from mom. It could also come from a godmother, a grandmother, an aunt. So what would your message be to single moms or other maternal figures who are acting as mentors or the guardians for little girls who are growing up in the world and who are trying to find themselves and who are trying to build their foundation and plan their life, as young women moving forward? Because I think it's important for, just like they always say that it's important for boys to have role models. I think it's also good for girls to have role models too. I don't think that's discussed enough.
It's kind of biased a little bit.
Yes,
because you're right, because people usually tend to think that boys should have mentors.
Yes,
but they never say that about girls.
Yes,
that's true.
Yes,
I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't hear that as often.
Yes, and that's why I think it's important for people to recognize that maternal figures are important too, just as they say father figures are important for boys.
Right.
I think it's important for people to acknowledge the fact that girls need mentors too.
Right.
Girls need maternal figures. It doesn't have to come from the biological mother. It could be a stepmother. It could be an aunt. It could be a godmother. It could be a grandmother. So the maternal figure could come from any female figure who can give a young lady guidance. So what would your message be to them and to single moms who are acting as guardians or who are acting as mentors for little girls and who are trying to raise them and who are trying to bring them up so that they can be successful and so that they can be scholars? So what would your message be to them?
Well, I think for me, I think that children, young people, strive better with structure.
Right.
I think children need structure. Growing up, Nelson didn't have a TV in his room because that wasn't necessary. I mean, he needed to be sleeping and getting ready for school.
Right.
That's just me.
Right.
Nelson had to be able to do his homework, and Nelson had to be able to do his chores. So certain responsibilities and certain things that I feel, from my point of view, I think kids thrive more with structure. Because I think that shows that you care. When you give them things to do and you follow up with them, that's teaching them responsibility. So I think that that's the most important thing for me. It was because most I was married, but now I'm divorced, and but for the majority of the time it was just Nelson and I. So he had to thrive in structure. He knew his responsibilities, I knew my responsibilities. I can't do it all by myself. So I think that's really important. Kids have structure. Kids need to know they have a safe place to lay their head. I don't think kids need to know that that things are rough, that you can't pay your bills, or you're struggling. I think kids need the opportunity to be kids. I think kids need an outlet, and it doesn't always mean that you have to spend money. You can go to a park, you can go walking, you can do a lot of things. You can read, you can play games. I think those kind of things to me are important. I mean, I think that makes a difference. That builds a foundation. I think that it's important that the way things are now, growing up, we ate dinner a lot together. But I think it's important that at least once a week you come together as a family and figure out at least how to have a meal and be able to talk about your day or talk about your week. So I think those kind of things are good. I think they're good, and I think they make a difference. Kids need activities. They need things to do. Kids don't really care about all the stuff that we really care about. Kids just want to be kids.
Right.
and they want to know you're there, and they want to know that you support them, and they want to know that you love them. And you know, and the other thing is, it's not always about getting straight A's. Straight A's are good, but it's about them doing their best. And if their best is a C, then you treat it like it was an A. You know, the suicide rate among young people is skyrocketing. You know, the young lady, I think she went to Stanford. Her parents were on TV. She killed herself. They were talking about some disciplinary problems. She was the captain of I believe was it the soccer team or something like that? She took her life.
Right.
Beautiful, young, vibrant young woman. They said something about it may have been some type of she was defending someone, and they were saying maybe it had something to do with some kind of disciplinary action or something. So it's like, kids, young people are under a lot of pressure, and they need to know that we're there. And all these other things that are going on in the world doesn't matter. Young women have a lot on their plate. So do young men, but it's about Women's History Month. And as women, we wear a lot of hats and we do a lot of things, and we want to be everything for everybody. But you got to take care of yourself. You got to be healthy mentally and physically. Take care of yourself. Make yourself the priority. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of you. Women, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. It's okay to be selfish. It's okay to go out and pamper yourself. It's okay to make sure you make your appointments for your doctors, and you do what you need to do for yourself.
Yes.
Okay, I got off my soapbox. I'm sorry.
Yes, no, it's great. Like all of this wealth of information, like this is a wealth of information. You've provided a lot to us tonight, and this is really, really going to benefit a lot of young ladies and a lot of older women who are listening to this. A lot of moms, daughters, sisters, aunts, godmothers, women who are in our community, who are listening to this can definitely benefit from this. And again, Mommy, thanks again for
you're welcome
for appearing on my show this evening. Next week, we're going to have Miss Cheryl Barton on the Beauty in Us Radio right here on Awesome Guide Radio, and she's going to talk about her work as an award-winning author with her experience as a romance writer. So that'll be another great show for the evening next week on March 15th. So make an appointment to meet me back here at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. So again, like this was a fantastic show. And again, since it's Women's History Month, it was great to hear what it was like being, what it's like being a Black female, in today's world, because again, you guys wear many hats, like you had said, and you find yourself against so many obstacles that sometimes can be hard to tear down. But because so many people have paved the way, and even you've paved the way for women, young women after you, so that they could be where they are today.
Right.
In different ways, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in your personal life, you've made sacrifices so that women wouldn't have to go through what you went through.
Yeah.
You always say, I paid the stupid tax.
Right. Yep.
Yep. In certain situations.
And I probably need a refund. I don't pay so many stupid taxes.
Yes.
I'm looking for a refund. Who do I call?
Yes. Yes. But it's a lesson that young ladies are supposed to learn.
Yeah.
Because you have already been through what they've been through. You're able to
right.
Pour wisdom into them.
Right. Right.
And it's very important to note that. So again, thank you all for tuning in to another show. I will see you all next week. And again, make sure that you subscribe to Awesome Guide Radio's YouTube channel. And we are also available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all of the other social media platforms. And make sure that you follow my work at Nelson E. Brown on all of the social media sites, so that you guys can follow up, be informed, and be in the loop of what's going on. And so, again, thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you who tune in each and every week. And again, it's Women's History Month, so we definitely want to acknowledge all of the work that women and girls do within our communities and around the world. Not just for Women's History Month, but each and every day. Each and every day.
Yes. Be kind, people. Be kind.
Yes.
Be kind.
Yes. So again, we're signing off, but
yes.
We love you guys and we appreciate you guys, and we will see you all next week.
Yes. See ya. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes.